you just keep counting until Joe Biden has enough to win, and then you go, I guess that's everything. And once you report that, the people who've bought into that story, there is no way they wouldn't believe it, because they just convinced themselves that that close to 100% of all the votes that haven't been counted yet must be for this guy. So there's no point at which they're going to go, oh, that's odd. No, they're just going to go, oh, I guess more people voted than we thought. Turns out it was 80 million people for this guy, and more people voted than ever before for anybody.
First of all, I just wanted to close out. So, dear listener, I'm really saying there is no point at all in arguing with these so-called people, right? No. There's zero reason. You gain nothing. You know, you're not going to, like, just once you prove to your brother-in-law that, Biden cheated, it's not going to, anybody who has any right to call themselves a human can see that this at least looks suspicious, right? Because now the new narrative, like, is baseless allegations of voter fraud. Like, they keep saying, oh, it's an innocent mistake, I'm sure, right? They don't understand what it means for something not to be proved. They don't understand, right? That something's not proven beyond reasonable doubt. Therefore, there is no reasonable suspicion, right? Like, if I see something that suggests something is true, that is a basis for a belief. Bob Murphy gave it perfectly. I believe that the minimum wage causes unemployment, but I don't say that the other side has a baseless belief that it doesn't, right? Like, it would be absolutely fucking retarded if I said there's no reason for anyone to believe that the minimum wage doesn't cause unemployment like I say, right? They're wrong, but there are things out there you could see, right? You could just look at cities that have minimum wages. Do their unemployment numbers look particularly higher than the rest of the country? For the most part, not really. So, okay, right? That's a basis for belief. But they're like, yeah, it's baseless allegations of voter fraud, and it's like dead people voting. That's a basis for belief. It's therefore not baseless. And now that I've shown this, I got to take it back. But they never do. So don't talk about it.
My understanding, at least the way I would put it, is, to me personally, the fishiness about this has nothing to do with all these individual claims of dead people and mail-ins and this and that. It's just a statistical thing. I just look at these different patterns that I've been shown, and I go, something about that has to be wrong, unless someone can show me why it's not. So Scott Adams has been saying this, that probably 99% of all the cases you're going to hear of individual cases are probably going to prove to be nothing. But he's also 100% certain that something was fishy, because I saw this guy dump a bunch of ballots. Yeah, it was probably 50 ballots. I saw some dead people. How many dead people really can vote? Are we supposed to believe 9 million voted? It's kind of hard to believe.
It's really
I think that the reason people are suspicious is because they just look at those numbers in the total and they go, that's suspicious. There's something weird about those numbers. The whole Benford's Law thing. There's the whole thing about how he underperformed Hillary in every metro area except for the 4 that he needed to win these 4 states. There's the whole thing of, like, there's just the thing of nobody seemed to believe he was going to win, and yet he won bigger than anybody ever.
Yes.
When people were boarding up there in Boston, when they were boarding up Newbury Street, I don't think they were boarding up Newbury Street in Boston because they thought Joe Biden was going to win and everyone was going to go burn down Newbury Street. I think it was because they thought, oh shit, when Trump wins, all of these people in Boston are going to go berserk because we don't like that.
Yeah.
So it's very strange. That's what's strange. So what the media will do is they'll ignore 90% of them. They'll pick one that is like the weakest one, and then they'll either go, oh, this one was false, or they'll go, yeah, this one was true, but it was 1,000 votes. So just goes to show you, it's a drop in the bucket. None of this stuff is real. And they're not going to look into another thing Scott Adams said, because I keep quoting him, but this is what I'm doing lately, is that, as he put it, he goes, am I wrong about this? It seems like 100% of the people who say there's nothing that wrong with this have not looked into it.
Yes.
100% of the people that have looked into it are saying, yeah, something looks weird. Because there's all these autistic guys, these Trump people on the internet, just pouring through these numbers, coming up with pretty interesting, claims about, not even claims, just showing you, here's the data of, for example, the difference between the number of votes that Trump got versus the GOP Senate candidate, and then Biden versus the Dem Senate candidate in the same states.
Yeah.
And you'll find that basically, for the most part, people who voted for Trump, out of 10,000, all but 100 voted for the GOP Senate candidate. And the people who voted for Biden, same thing.
Tens of thousands.
In very specific precincts where 90% of the people who voted for Biden didn't vote for anybody else. That's the case. The case is that and how weird it is, not any specific thing. It's just these things that don't add up.
Yes. And you need to understand, if anybody ever says baseless allegations of voter fraud, it's been 2 weeks, all right? If somebody says baseless allegations of voter fraud, you need to ask yourself, is this their first time hearing about the voter fraud thing, right? No. So you are not the first person to tell them anything. So you have to understand, if somebody is at this point in the game saying there's no reason at all to believe that there was cheating, you are talking to an animal, all right? You are the political equivalent to Eliza Thornberry. You are Dr. Doolittle talking to a goddamn dog. Do not talk to anybody who says that there's no reason to believe it. Any more than anybody should have the right to talk to me if I said, listen, there's nothing, I'm just going to give an example. I don't believe in God, right? If I went around saying that there's literally nothing on earth to lead any rational person to believe that there was a creator, you would look at me, rightly so, as just like a smug asshole who was just talking out of his ass, right? For me to look around and say, I don't see a single thing on this planet to incline me to the conclusion that there was an intelligent designer behind this, you would say, oh, you're just being a complete buffoon, right? Anybody who says there's nothing to make you even think the possibility of voter fraud is talking out of their ass. Don't talk to them.
Especially when they say that without having looked into it. And then you go, oh, so then you won't mind if I look into it because the egg will be on my face and you'll get to laugh at me. And they go, no, you don't look into it. We're not looking into it.
Yeah,
it's like, why not?
Trump wants the DOJ to investigate baseless allegations of voter fraud. Like, they want to investigate something that hasn't been proven beyond reasonable doubt. Yeah, that's the point. The whole point of cops, in theory, is to investigate things that are reasonably suspicious. Cops see something suspicious, they investigate it, and then they attempt to prove to a jury that it's true beyond reasonable doubt. To believe that they shouldn't do that is to say, like, the cops should only investigate people that I've decided ahead of time through some extrajudicial means were already guilty beyond reasonable doubt. And then it's the cops' job to investigate and prosecute those people. I really am gonna, if nothing else, dear listener, especially for those of my listeners who, if I to really pound this into you go, my atheism should be a guidepost here, right? Those of you who know me, Dan knows full well that I am an archetypical smug atheist, right? I don't believe in any of this stuff. But you know what you would think if I said there was nothing on earth that could lead any rational person to the conclusion that God was real. You would assess that I was not a person worth talking to. I mean, a lot of Christians have decided I'm not worth talking to, but they're wrong because I'm really smart. But in the same way, for the same reason, if you see someone who says there's no reason at all to believe there's voter fraud, don't talk to them. Get to a safe distance and call animal control.
Okay, so I can't find the tweet, the person who said it, but the gist of it was if you go to your doctor and you're complaining of specific pains and you say, I think I might have, some sort of cancer. He doesn't. And if you have symptoms, that you think, and you say, I looked it up on WebMD and I think it's consistent with this, and I'm worried. He does not say, yeah, we'll start chemo tomorrow, just on your word. And he also doesn't say, get out of here. This
baseless allegations, flu-like symptoms, and now he's saying he has Ebola, and that's completely baseless. No, it may be unlikely that he has Ebola from mere flu-like symptoms, but it's not baseless. A sign of Ebola is flu-like symptoms for the first, 6 hours. It'll be quickly clear.
But try that. Go to your doctor and tell them, I've been look up the symptoms of diabetes and tell them, I've been losing weight, and I can't seem to, just suddenly losing weight for no reason. And I get super tired at random times during the day. And then one other thing. and he'll go. He's not just gonna. And you go, I think I have diabetes. He's not just gonna go, get down, get out of here. And he's also not gonna give you insulin. He's going to run a test.
Right.
He's gonna say, all right,
his job is to investigate.
We'll do a blood test or whatever.
Yeah. And there's indeed a guy.
Could you imagine if you went into your doctor with a complaint like that? Come on, that's baseless.
Yeah, it's a baseless assumption of what?
And then refuse to run a test.
Yes.
That's the thing. If he said, you are a hypochondriac, you do this all the time, you come in here with these things, so I advise against running wasted tests. But then when you said, I want the test, give me this test, if he refused to do it, you'd be like, what the fuck is? Do not trust him anymore.
Yeah,
and you'd go
especially when you money up for it. Especially considering you got to when you ask for a recount and it's not a tight margin, you got to put down a deposit basically.
Well, I think that's a waste of time because if these things are faked on a statistical, at the high level using software, recounting it, I don't think is going to do anything. Or if they're all a bunch of fake ballots that should have been thrown out,
or an audit,
recounting them is not going to do anything. But we talk about people talk about restoring faith in this process. Do you think there's any way to do that at this point? Because let's say that you and your team, Marcel, that you guys get what you've been dreaming of, and it goes to the Supreme Court, and Clarence Thomas looks around and does his evil laugh, and then they say, "Okay, Trump's the president." Do you think that the other 900 million people who allegedly voted for Joe Biden are going to say, all right, that's fair and square? Or do you think they're going to say, oh, well, the conservatives packed the court and then they stole the election for their guy and this is totally illegitimate and Russia was probably involved? And do you think there's any way that at least 60 million people don't go, oh, this is fake one way or the other?
No, there's no way.
If Biden is the president,
we're through the looking glass at this point. At this point, almost we're basically reaching OJ trial levels of everybody has the side they're on. Another thing, if in case anybody here on my audience on the right, so 90% of you need to be self-assured that this is not just cope. Remember, Republicans don't accuse Democrats of cheating everywhere. Republicans don't accuse Democrats of cheating in New York or California, or even think about Virginia, right? Virginia ostensibly is a swing state. Virginia went blue in 2020, in 2016, in 2012, and I think in 2008, right? And nobody questions. Republicans understand that they're outnumbered in those states. They don't say hey, this is supposed to be a swing state, but it keeps going to the Democrat. They're just yeah, I guess we just legitimately lost here because you don't see the same patterns of behavior there as you do in Michigan or Pennsylvania, right? If Republicans just wanted to throw a shit fit whenever they lost a swing state, why do they pick Pennsylvania and Michigan and not, Virginia, New Hampshire?
You can't pick one, but go on.
Right. Oh, Florida. Oh, no, Florida's been red the past few times.
Yeah.
Florida's at this point a red state, but right. It's only these states here. So clearly they're seeing something. Another strange talking point I've seen is this idea are you saying that all of these mail-in ballots are fraudulent? They start moving the goalpost back. It's as if getting you to concede that I concede that 98% of these votes were valid in an election in which the margin was less than 2%. Well then there's no reason to investigate the fraud. It's
well, that's the other thing. So allegedly, I don't know, this is what people say, that the rates of rejection for mail-in ballots have gone through the floor at the same time that the number of them move.
Say one more time?
That the rates of rejection for the mail-in ballots have fallen off a shelf while at the same time the number of actual mail-in ballots has gone through the roof.
Despite the fact that we're getting all these first-time mail-in balloters, they're also more competent than the people that have been doing it before.
Yeah, so the people who normally mail in their ballots... No, but that's the thing. They're not only more competent, but I guess the people who are incompetent got better at it too, because it used to be that 100,000 people mailed in their ballots and 30,000 of them fucked it up to the point where we had to throw them away. But now 500 billion people mail in their ballots, and we only found one that was questionable. And we called them, and then they confirmed it was them, and we didn't count it anymore. So it's ridiculous. And I've had people say that, and then